Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yep, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. We're going to talk some more today about Urban Meyer. Of course, yesterday's live show was at what time? 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It ended at 4. An hour later, Ohio State puts Urban Meyer on paid administrative leave. I'll tell you what I think that means in a minute when we start the show. So we'll talk a little bit more about that today, and of course, phone calls, whatever you guys want to talk about. I did 2 previews today. South Carolina came out around lunchtime. Kansas State came out, I don't know, an hour and a half ago or so. Some of you may have seen one or both of those already. Tell me what I'm wrong about on those if you want. But when you call in, if you can get through, of course, as usual, we'll talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, and we will get the show started very, very soon, without a problem. Sorry, I had to turn the mic off while that song was playing for something real quick, and I forgot to turn it back on. Sorry. Cue all the "this idiot doesn't know what he's doing" comments. You're half right. Anyway, you missed it, but I promise I said hello to everyone in the comment section. So hello to everyone in the comment section. Everybody there, I said your name. If you don't believe me, get somebody that can read lips. Go back and watch the first 30 seconds of me talking or whatever it was, and everything will be fine. Yeah. Anyway, though, enough about that. What do I think's going to happen at Ohio State with the Urban Meyer thing? Well, yesterday on the show, I talked a lot about it, but none of that really matters now. No, I can't. Why would I start the show over? No. No. Hold on, let me check. No. Still not starting it over. Anyway, Urban Meyer paid administrative leave. What is that? What do I? To me, that's code for. Well, we're gonna take a couple of days and try to figure out how we want to word this. But basically, the guy's fired, in my opinion. I can't see him coming back from this. I don't see any way that happens. I think probably what's going on is Urban Meyer and Ohio State are working out the terms of his release, whatever that might mean. I have some thoughts and opinions on who I might think could replace Urban Meyer at Ohio State. Now, I don't think it'll be anybody this year. I don't think there's any coach who would be willing to take the job right now, 3 weeks basically out from the season. I don't think anybody will be willing to do that. I think you're going to see the interim deal. Of course, they've already named somebody interim or acting head coach there. One of the assistants is already on staff. One of the coordinators or whatever. That's what you'll see this year. No one is coming in there this close to the season. I've got some ideas on who they may look to for the future after this year or whatever. Darth, good morning, sir. Oklahoma is on the list. But, I mean, there's a lot of teams on this list here. This entire paper is 3 rows of teams here that I've got to do. And Oklahoma is right here. So Oklahoma is on the list. It's coming, I promise, and it will be soon. But anyway, I've got some ideas of who I think it might be that Ohio State might look to replace Urban Meyer. But I'm curious who you guys might think will replace him. 706-510-6817. Give me a call. We can talk about that or anything else that you want to talk about. I did the South Carolina preview today. I had them landing at 8-4. I've been saying all offseason that I saw potential for South Carolina to maybe win 10 games. Of course, that was before I took the time to go through their schedule and analyze it and look at it. I have landed on 8-4 and managed to piss off an entire army of Gamecock roaches in the process. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou, too.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. This is Peyton. How are you?
I'm doing great, Peyton. What's going on?
Not much. Can't say I'm great.
Uh-oh.
Again, couldn't call in yesterday. Busy during the day a lot of the times. But I have a lot to say. You wanted me to get directly to who I think will replace Urban.
Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to talk about. Floor is yours, sir.
All right, but I'll get into who I think would replace him in that scenario later. Let's start off with this. For one, somebody on your show yesterday called in and said he knew about this. He was mistaking that for the 2009 incident.
Yes.
When he knew about it, and him and his wife tried to get the couple some counseling, and it appeared to work at first, but it went down the drain again. Now, here's the main story I've been hearing. Based on all the parts I've been gathering, it seems that this occurred again. She started texting Meyer's wife all this stuff, and we're going to operate under the assumption that Urban knew, because in all likelihood he did. What happened is that the police were notified, and at this time, and she said that then, and she made it clear, Courtney Smith, the victim, she made it clear again yesterday in an interview that she did not want to press charges so he wouldn't lose his job. Even though it was reported to the police, multiple coaches' wives knew about it. So basically, from there, not much really happened. It seems as though.
Well, you're telling us the story. You're telling us the story of what happened, but the thing is, everyone already knows what happened now. I mean, this has been on the news for 24 hours straight. So, tell us what you think about the situation, not what happened. We all know what happened.
All right. So.
Do you think he's getting fired? Do you think he should get fired?
Do I think he's getting? All right. Do I think he's getting fired? Honestly, it's up in the air at this point. It doesn't look good based on their reasons for firing Tressel, what they've done in the past. Should he get fired? Absolutely not. I mean, this is a situation where I don't know what he's supposed to do. And again, I also want to fill you on something else. Some people thought Title IX would be involved. This was not a violation of Title IX because this did not involve an Ohio State student. There's more of an explanation why it's not, but you can look into that yourself. But it's ridiculous, I think, for them to fire him. This could happen. I mean, if this happens, it's twice in a row where a guy got fired for doing virtually. I mean, he could have handled it better, but I don't see how he deserves to be fired at this point.
How about whip the guy's ass? I mean, how about do anything besides nothing? This is the same type of thing we heard about Joe Paterno. Oh, what's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to... Listen, college football coaches have all this power, right? But then something comes up and everybody's like, what's he supposed to do? This ain't some schmuck managing a McDonald's. I mean, this is the head coach of Ohio State University. And the issue is he's all tangled up with this guy with... What is it? This kid's grandfather is Urban Meyer's mentor, and Urban Meyer is this guy's godfather to his kids and all this kind of stuff. I mean, listen, okay, so they're basically family, okay? You got any cousins or anything? Male cousins? Well, I mean, okay, one of your male cousins is beating the shit out of his wife every 3 months. You do nothing?
No, you're right.
I go over there and whip his ass, or get my ass whipped. One of those two things is happening in that scenario. I'm either whooping his ass or he's whipping mine, but one of those two things is happening. What's not happening is me sitting around twiddling my thumbs, worried about, whatever. I mean, you have to have, what's that old saying? With great power comes great responsibility. These people have to take responsibility for what's going on around them. The I'm clueless defense don't fly with me.
No, we all know he, in all likelihood, knew. And again, as I've said, he should have been fired years ago. He basically put his loyalty to Earl Bruce. He basically risked his job with it. Am I mad about it? No doubt. But you can argue that this is this is not a fireable offense, and you can't.
Listen.
And from what I've heard, I
This
could
is
listen
an
to the radio.
image. This is an image issue. Okay, take any major corporation. That's what Ohio State's football program is. That's what Alabama's football. These big time college football programs. They're Fortune 500 company. This is an image issue. You can't.
Yeah,
You can't be the president of Ohio State or running or the CEO of some huge corporation. Have your number one guy knowingly lie about and cover up domestic abuse within the management structure of that corporation. It can't happen. Not in 2018. This ain't This ain't the 80s, the 70s. I mean, that can't happen these days. And a guy as smart as Urban Meyer should have known that, and he never should have got up at media days. He knew he was going to be asked those questions. He never should have got up there and lied. He should have said no comment. I should have said I'm not getting. That's you'll have to ask them. Whatever. But to get up there and tell a bald-faced lie in today's culture with all this stuff that's going on, he had to know, or he should have known, that wasn't going to end well.
Well, yeah, no, he definitely knew about it. And in this day and age of the Me Too movement and all that stuff, I mean, this is going to be handled with, extra attention. I just feel when you're talking about a man's job, it's a slippery slope. And again, he was absolutely stupid to put his loyalty to Earl Bruce at the forefront here.
No, I agree. He made a series of mistakes and errors here, and I see no other outcome other than him losing his job. I just don't see any way Ohio State keeps him around. I don't see it happening.
Here's what I think. I think the only way he can get himself out of this is if he gets out in front of it. He says, all right, I knew about this. This is why I didn't fire him. I made this mistake. This is what I'm going to do. That's the only way, unless they can't find any evidence of him knowing, that's the only way he's going to save himself. But he can't, start, acting like he's the whole emperor of the place and expect to keep his job. I mean, it does not look good. It's sad. I'm worried, but this is, and I was listening to the radio today, and they expect this to drag out through at least this weekend. We're not going to get an answer for, maybe around a week, if that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the call.
And
We'll see what happens. Like you said, this story's not going away. So.
Yeah. One more thing, Lou.
Yeah.
So I will give my name who I would like to replace Meyer if he is fired. Tom Herman, I think coming back would fit great. Don't have to change the schemes. We won't have to, recruit a bunch of new players. There's a reason why I'd want to come back. That's it. I'll keep it short. But Tom Herman is my preferred choice.
That's an interesting choice. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Although it would be impossible for me to disagree with you any more than I do. 706-510-6817. Good morning, Ron with Uncle Lou.
What's going on, Lou? It's KP Dog.
What's
going
up?
on, man?
What's up, buddy?
Hold on, give me a second. I gotta do something real quick. All right, there. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going
I know
great.
what you're gonna say to me.
Yeah.
But how's it going?
It's going great. Yep.
It's going
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah. But my whole opinion on this Urban Meyer thing, he's done.
Yeah.
This is crazy what's happened. I mean, and it sucks to be an Ohio State fan right now, probably. I mean, being, 3 weeks away from the season. I mean, this is terrible. For me, I hate Urban Meyer. I've never liked him. Even when he was at Florida, I couldn't stand him. So part of me is like, yeah, good. But part of me kind of feels bad for him, but not really. No, I don't feel bad for him. But could you, explain to me, because I haven't really, who exactly, was involved? I've heard, family members of Urban Meyer were involved. Could you help, maybe explain to me a little bit?
It's a little bit... Urban Meyer's, it's like this kid, Zach Smith, it's like his grandfather was Urban Meyer's mentor, whatever that means. And Zach Smith's kids, Urban Meyer is like is godfather to those kids, if I understand it correctly. So it makes it look like, and he hung up. But anyway, it makes it look like Urban Meyer was doing this guy a favor by keeping him employed while he continued to beat the hell out of his wife every few months. And Urban Meyer was, at the very least, pretending like he didn't notice it. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's up, Uncle Luke? Stick Pig.
What's up, buddy?
Well, throwing in my 2 cents about the Urban Meyer situation.
All right.
I think he'll be gone in a few weeks or so. Yeah, well, they'll have to enter him in there. Their season will be affected by Ohio State. They'll probably lose a couple of games that Urban Meyer's coaching to get him by. But, I mean, I understand the situation already. I got that. But what I'm thinking of, who's going to replace Urban Meyer? And this might sound crazy. I don't know how these contracts are working now. But what if Chip Kelly goes through just kind of a middling year at UCLA and then tries to bolt for Ohio State?
Like you said, I don't know the details of Chip Kelly's contract. Now, there's nothing legally that keeps a coach at any school. I mean, any coach or any school can break these contracts at any time. Now, there may be financial implications to breaking a contract, but it's not like you can be thrown in jail for breaking one of these contracts or whatever. So, is something like that possible? I think something like that is possible. I think it's very unlikely, though. Too. The last caller mentioned Tom Herman. I know Tom Herman has some connections to Ohio State, coached under Urban Meyer for a while. The problem with that is Tom Herman was there while this was going on too. Did Tom Herman know? But that's besides the point. I don't know. I don't know if I can see a coach from a major school like Texas going there, and I don't know if I see Chip Kelly leaving after 1 year at UCLA either. I don't know. That's an interesting theory. Both of those guys run interesting offenses. So interesting theory, but I'm not so sure. What about, you know what the first name that popped into my head yesterday was?
What's that?
Bob Stoops.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, I know he was a clean-cut guy, and that's what they're going to need. Let's face it. This will make 2 coaches in a row at Ohio State that have got run off for not being able to follow simple instructions. So they're going to need a clean-cut guy. Now, I'm not a Bob Stoops fan, but I don't, it's kind of like Mark Richt. I don't think you hear too many people with bad things to say about Bob Stoops in terms of his personality or whatever. People seem to like him. He seems to be a clean-cut guy. I know he said he retired and he was done, but he's in his early 50s, which is extremely young to be retiring. I think that's a name to keep an eye on. I don't know. Lane Kiffin is another name I've heard a lot, but I don't think Ohio State, like I said, after going through Tressel and now what's happening with Meyer, I don't think Ohio State would take a chance on somebody like a Lane Kiffin. He's sort of a loose cannon.
Yeah. Some other names I'm thinking of, I don't know about Matt Campbell from Iowa State and that guy from Purdue.
I don't know what his name is, but
Brom.
those are
Yeah.
up and coming coaches.
Yeah, both of those guys interviewed at several places last offseason. Both chose to remain with their current schools. Matt Campbell seems like more of a reach to me than Brom does. I mean, I joke on Ohio State all the time, but I can't imagine Ohio State reaching all the way down to the level of an Iowa State to take a coach. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do for sure. It's a crazy story, and the timing is terrible. I mean, what about their recruiting class? I mean, we keep talking about, this is this is going to cost them some games this year. This might cost them a lot of games in the future if this recruiting class falls apart.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Georgia fan, they've got a four-star center committed out of the state of Georgia that I would love to have. So, and with negative recruiting is huge, and so you have to know these kids are getting called, by these other coaches and saying, hey, you sure you want to go to Columbus right now, So, I don't know. It could get a lot worse there before it gets better.
Yeah. One name I just thought of real quick. I don't know how likely this would be, but in kind of the same boat as Bob Stoops. So what about someone like Les Miles?
That's an interesting one too. That would be really weird because he's a Michigan guy.
Yeah.
So if he were to somehow end up at Ohio State, somebody else, I'm pretty sure they were joking, but somebody else said, what if Ohio State hired John Harbaugh?
Oh, God.
Had the Harbaugh boys. And that's something I tend to overlook NFL names anytime a college job comes open because you don't see that very often, a guy going from the NFL down to college. So I tend to overlook those types of names, although I don't think there's any chance they would hire John Harbaugh, but there may be somebody somewhere in the NFL they would look at. I don't know who that might be, but I guess that's always a possibility.
Yeah. Anyways, something kind of funny I want to get your opinion on.
All right.
I don't know how much of a betting man you are on games, but week one. Oh, by the way, before I start on this, I appreciated the Ole Miss pick over South Carolina. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Oh.
Anyways, week one, Ole Miss plays Texas Tech. First of all, I think Texas Tech is going to be down this year. They've fallen off really, but I made a bet with a couple of my friends where if Ole Miss loses to Texas Tech, I got to shave my head bald.
Oh, buddy, what are you doing?
Well, I was just making a joke about it while we were eating somewhere, and they look at me and they're like, okay, we're holding you to that. It might sound like a joke. We're holding you to that now.
I haven't done a preview yet on either of those two teams, Ole Miss or Texas Tech. Obviously, however little I know about Ole Miss is more than I know about Texas Tech. So I'm a little leery to go out on a limb here. My feeling is that Ole Miss is a more talented team than Texas Tech. They've been kind of disappointing the last couple of years. I've even heard some Big 12 people talking that this could be Cliff Kingsbury's last year there. That are just getting, it's not working.
Last year.
Huh?
Yeah, it was almost his last year.
Yeah.
This past season if they had lost to Texas.
Yeah. So you got two teams here. Texas Tech. They haven't done much lately. Coach hanging on by a thread. Ole Miss. I know I was extremely wrong on Ole Miss last year. It's still hard for me to completely buy into Ole Miss because of the motivation issue or lack thereof. Last year they proved me wrong. They came out and played like it didn't matter that they were on a bowl ban. Maybe they do that again this year. we'll see. I definitely think they're a better team than Texas Tech.
I do. I mean, the defense is going to be great. It'll probably be better than last year a little bit. But, I mean, Ole Miss has the best wide receiving core in the country, and I'm not trying to sound biased when I say that.
No, a lot of people would agree with you.
Going against Texas Tech, I mean, teams just ripped apart Texas Tech through the air. I mean, it's ridiculous. And
where's that game at? Is that a neutral site deal?
It's in Houston at NRG Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an 11 a.m. game.
Without doing any of the usual research that I do before I make these prediction videos, I'm leaning Ole Miss in that. I'm more of a believer in Ole Miss than I am in Texas Tech. So, is it possible I change my mind when I do a preview for one of those two teams? It's possible, but right now I would lean Ole Miss on that. Not sure I would do a shave my head bet or anything like that, but hey, good luck.
Yeah, well, at least I didn't say that about the Mississippi State game at the end of the year, because that's an actual really good team that could easily be Ole Miss. Considering all these crazy Mississippi State fans that are over here in Mississippi, they would hold me down and shave my entire body.
Listen, I'm just telling you now, if I was you, I would either mute, hide, or block all your Mississippi State friends or whatever on social media, because I have a feeling they're going to have good reason to be loud this year.
Yeah, I think they'll be good. But one thing that I think everyone's overlooking is that they have Bob Shoop as their defensive coordinator, and he is known for crumbling defenses.
Yeah, I talked with somebody on the show about that the other day. Of course, he showed up at Tennessee a couple of years ago. They hired him in, I think, 2016, and one of the first statements he made when he was hired was, "No one, I repeat, no one will run the ball on the University of Tennessee." And Tennessee promptly went out and gave up 250 yards rushing to every team they played. So.
Yeah, I think I was at an Ole Miss game when we played Tennessee, and Bob Shoop was the D coordinator, and we beat him by 4.5 touchdowns.
Yeah, it wasn't the year that he was there. Tennessee gave up more points than any season in school history. And that was actually the year they were, weren't they 9-? Yeah, they were 9. They ended up 9-4 that year, but they gave up the most points in school history. Of course, they had Josh Dobbs and Kamara and Hurd and all those guys too. But so they scored a lot. They scored the most points in school history that year too. So, but yeah, the defense was epically bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're on to something there. We'll see if he's able to do anything with that defense at Mississippi State. But I think the offense will be pretty good, especially if Fitzgerald's back to 100%. But anyway, I know you didn't call in to talk about Mississippi State.
No, I can talk about Mississippi State. I don't have that really harsh hate towards any team really, unless they just really piss me off somehow.
Yeah.
But anyways, but yeah, when you do your Ole Miss prediction, just I guess what I could tell you is the defense is a big question mark. We just lost a 5-star inside linebacker, flipped to Florida, after we had just gotten 3 4-star recruits in the last 24 hours, and our class jumped up to number 8 in the country.
Florida got a 5-star?
Yeah, he was committed to Ole Miss, and he just flipped like 6 hours ago.
Yeah, that ain't going to last. We just moved to number 1 in the country, by the way. If there's any Georgia fan watching who are unaware, we signed the number 1 junior college prospect in America, Jermaine Johnson, defensive lineman, and passed Alabama. So Georgia's number 1 in the 24/7 Sports 2019 recruiting rankings now, which is amazing considering we have four less recruits commits than Alabama does, and we're still ahead of them. So that's amazing.
Yeah, y'all are doing good. It seems like all Ole Miss wants to recruit is offensive linemen and wide receivers and some quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because we've recruited over the last few years, we've recruited like 6 4-star wide receivers, and Mississippi State one of their best committed players, a 4-star wideout, just flipped and committed to us, which I think he's making the right decision there because we've put like 3 receivers in the NFL in the last 3 years.
Well, yeah, even when y'all were buying players, that's who you focused on: wide receiver, offensive lineman, and defensive tackle too. But that was y'all's primary focus when y'all was buying them up.
Yeah, and we'll get that 2-year sanction, and our program will be hated, and everyone will move on with Ohio State, treat them with tender loving care.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for the call.
All
right. We'll talk to you soon. Yep, that's our resident Ole Miss fan there, Stick Pig. He's one of your friendly moderators, so be nice to him if you see him in the chat in there, and he'll be nice to you. And Stick Pig, you can help me out with some of these South Carolina fans. Like you said, I did pick Ole Miss to beat South Carolina. You said you appreciate that. If you really appreciate it, then help me out in the comment section, because Uncle Lou's been getting murdered since that South Carolina video went live. I'm getting absolutely annihilated by these pissed off Gamecock roaches. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou too.
Hey, what's up? It's Lambo. How are you doing today?
What's up, buddy? I'm doing great. What's on your mind?
I'm doing great as well. I'm Braves one. Got that crew. It's kind of crazy what's going on with the Urban Meyer stuff. It's kind of like, some politics, deep state type of thing.
I think a little bit of it, or at least the reaction to it, does have to do, obviously, with the times we live in. I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's not the 1980s anymore. I mean, this kind of stuff doesn't just... People don't just... You shouldn't just be looking the other way, in my opinion, when you know stuff like this is going on. I don't know how many people watching, or you, or whatever, have ever known anybody that's been involved in something like this before. I do. And I've heard some people saying, well, if it was that big of a deal, why didn't the coach's wife do this, or why didn't the coach's wife do that? People who are saying those types of things just obviously don't know any woman who has ever been in that type of situation.
Right.
So.
Anyway, did you see that Project Veritas released a video about this whole situation?
Who?
Project Veritas, James O'Keefe.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
Yeah. They released a video, and they were showing, like, these, when he was in Florida, he was really tough, throwing Gatorade bottles. This one kid had disease in his shoulders that it was hurting him really bad. Instead of just giving him a break, they harassed him, saying you're a fake injury. I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this.
No, I haven't seen that.
He almost died, but then, luckily for him, he managed to catch a break and is leaving him with a 6-month rehab. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It was a lot of kids. Wide receivers showed, in the video showed that I believe one of the wide receivers, one of his muscles just like stretched out. It's pretty weird. I felt bad. I mean, I'm a Georgia fan. I don't like Florida, but I feel bad for these kids, honestly. It sucks.
Yeah. Well.
It's just, yeah. Well, that's all I want to say. Hope you have a great morning or night.
Okay. Yep, I will. I hope you do the same. Of course, I always hope people have a great morning. And I can promise you that no matter what, Uncle Lou's always having a good morning. But of course, not telling you anything you didn't already know there. That's not breaking news. That's not even fake news. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou. I got a quick question for you. When are you doing that drawing for the the people in the whatever you call it, Patreon?
The jersey? That's Monday. Yeah, that's Monday. during the 3 o'clock show.
Monday?
Monday during the 3 o'clock show. Now, you don't have to be watching live to win it, but that's when I'll do the drawing.
Yeah.
And then, everybody that signed up on Patreon, you have to submit your email. So I have everyone's email. So whoever wins, I'll email them whether they're watching or not. So, but yeah, that'll be announced Monday. I do that during the first full week of every month. So next week is the first full week of August.
Okay.
So we'll do it on Monday.
All right. I appreciate the clarification. Go Sun Belt.
All right, thanks for the call. Yep, and good luck with the jersey, too. Yeah, giving the jersey away on Monday for the month of July. So a new jersey contest, of course, up and running now. If you want to get in on that, you have to join the Patreon page. That's the only way to win the jersey until we come up with a different way to do it. But, yep, all the Patreon members are entered every month into the jersey contest. If you want to join up on the Patreon page, click the first link in the description of this video or any other video for that matter. Hey, good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Hey, it's Mark Johnson. I just graduated from the University of Oklahoma State in
Right.
psychology.
Yeah, in what?
In psychology.
Psychology. Okay, I figured.
I can officially diagnose two people. I've only wanted to diagnose with something. Because first of all, I wonder why squid-tar bait made me so damn mad. I like to diagnose him with Down syndrome.
Oh.
And I also like to diagnose... what?
No, go ahead.
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. I would also like to diagnose the ultimate troll with ultra double beta male. He's an ultra beta male.
Yes.
And I'd like to also diagnose him with ultra Down syndrome and ultra low functioning autism.
Right.
So I'd like to diagnose the ultimate troll with.
Okay.
He does have signs of retardation as well. So I am an official psychologist. I'm just putting out some here.
I understand.
And squid-tart is bipolar. And let's continue on with what I want to say about the situation of Urban Meyer and my predictions and everything, okay?
Okay.
So I think the problem here is University of Florida and Georgia, they need to stop. I know Sony Michelle, Kirby Smart sent Sony Michelle to beat somebody's wife out in Ohio State, I believe, and then the wife would blame it on somebody else. I think that's how it worked. Sony Michelle is guilty of beating somebody's wife. And then what's that? The running back from Florida, is it called? What was it named? P-Ron, something like that. He also went and beat somebody's wife, and he should be ashamed of himself for this. Ohio State did nothing wrong. Urban Meyer is a clean-cut person. He's an elite head coach, and if he does get fired, I do have options, which I think Ohio State could potentially hire. Can I please discuss that with you today?
Yeah, you got 2 minutes. Go.
Okay, so I think LeBron James is a high chance. Hey, add 2 minutes to that too. 4 minutes. Thank you very much. Yeah, LeBron James, I think has a good chance of getting hired, and I think that Jason Kidd or Stephen Curry could potentially get hired there, or potentially Russell Westbrook and Paul George. And then let's continue on. For the national championship, I have a new national champion. I think that instead of Kansas, I do have a team that I think is kind of risen to the top over Kansas. That's going to be Marshall University. I think that they will win. They will ultimately win the national championship. They will go against you in the playoff and go against Kansas and win and 400,000 overtimes. Also, in the chat, can you please give me a 1, 2, 3 free door giveaway? Uncle Luke, could you do a free door giveaway? Just spam it in the chat, please. And yeah, I really think you do a really good job at your work and everything. And I think you're just a great YouTuber. Congratulations for 10,000 subscribers. Even though you stole all of your subscribers from me, it's okay. I still think you're a great man. I know you're old. You're going to die of a heart attack one of these days, but that's okay. Again, 1, 2, 3 free door giveaway in the chat, please.
Gotcha.
So I have a thing where I go like a lot, and it's called I got pneumonia. I'm sorry. I'm picking tomatoes while talking to you here. I'm out on the
5-star caller.
I'm picking my tomatoes.
Thanks for the call, Mark Johnson. I had to hang up on you because, like you were saying there at the end, you're out in your farm somewhere picking tomatoes or something, and I don't want to keep you from that. So I did have to go ahead and let you go, but I did play the five-star caller thing for you. So you're welcome, and as usual, thanks for the call. But good morning, though. You're on with Uncle Lou, too.
Hey, Uncle Lou, this is Collins, and I'm a huge Oklahoma fan. I love watching your videos. I just had a few questions for you.
Okay.
So, first off, are you going to do an Oklahoma preview soon?
Yes, it's on the list to do. So it will be done. I don't have an exact day, but I would say it would be done within the next 7 days.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's most likely that we go 11-1. I mean, I don't know. I can see us going 10-2, but I don't see that many losable games on our schedule. So, I mean, we'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma
Oklahoma
probably favored in all 12. I sort of have a rule, though, where I very rarely pick a team to go undefeated. I did the Georgia preview. I didn't pick Georgia to go undefeated. They're going to be favored in all 12 games, too. It's just most teams are going to lose. I mean, look at y'all last year with Iowa State, Syracuse and Clemson. I mean, I could go on and on. So I'll probably land at 11-1 when I do Oklahoma. It's just a matter of trying to guess really where the one slip up might be. I don't know. I do think Texas is going to be improved this year. So can they give you a run for your money? I'm not sure. West Virginia, I'm not really buying in because of their defense. Oklahoma State, y'all have a better chance of replacing Baker Mayfield than Oklahoma State does of replacing Mason Rudolph. So I mean, I don't know. I see you winning a whole lot of games again next year.
Yeah, I hope so. My second question is, so what? I mean, I just need to get this perspective from a Georgia fan, and I mean, like it's pretty cool, like. Because I was watching y'all's videos like right before the Rose Bowl and everything, and I'm an Oklahoma fan, like, you know, the trash talk and everything. It was really cool, like, listening to that and, like, just getting y'all's perspective. But what were you thinking about, like, during halftime at the Rose Bowl? Because I was thinking, like, oh, man, we must have this locked up.
I thought the game was over. I thought the game was over. I made a series of trash talk videos, of course, leading up to that game, but I made one serious video where I talked about how I really thought the game was going to go. And in that video, I said, I can tell you right now, if Oklahoma gets up 3 scores on us, the game's over. There's absolutely no way we can win a shootout with Oklahoma, and if they score over 35 points, the game is over. That's what I said leading up to that game. So I thought the game was over at halftime. I mean, you guys moved the ball at will. We had no answers on defense at all. Even the field goal at the end, I mean, at the end of the first half, I mean, I was thankful to get it, but at that point I'm thinking field goals aren't going to win this game when Oklahoma's scoring a touchdown every 3 minutes or whatever. So, yeah, I 100% thought that game was over at halftime.
Yeah. I mean, that was truly a classic game. Like, I just kind of, like, thought about, like, everything that happened. Like, that's not, like, what all happened, like, all the crazy, like, turning momentum, like, plays and everything, that just does normally not happen.
Right.
The whole game, especially, like, of just of that caliber. That was crazy.
Unbelievable game. Yeah, an unbelievable. Well, I mean, without question. I mean, listen, my favorite UGA game of all time until the Rose Bowl was the 2012 SEC Championship game in which Georgia lost. So I don't designate a game as being my favorite just because Georgia wins it. But that was just an epic game. I mean, the comeback, then the back and forth in the fourth quarter, then going to overtime, a blocked field goal. I mean, that game just had everything. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it truly was. So the last thing I wanted to ask you about was, so a lot of people are talking about, you know, like the Ohio State situation, like, you know, who might replace Urban Meyer. But really, I'm trying to think, like, if I was an Ohio State fan, I'd be very, like, you know, it would suck to, like, lose my head coach or anything. But there's going to be a lot of, like, recruits that are just, like, decommitting and maybe transfers and everything, and they have a ton of talent on their roster, especially like freshmen and sophomores.
Yep.
And so I just I just wonder how that's going to play out.
It's going to be interesting. I talked about the recruiting class a little while ago. There's a couple of players in their 2019 class. I wouldn't mind Kirby Smart giving them a call. And that's not to mention, like you said, the players they already have that may look to get out of there if a change is made. Hey, let me ask you this, because I mentioned this too, and I've seen this a few places. How do you think Oklahoma fans would react if Bob Stoops took that job?
I mean, I've heard it, but, like, I don't know. I mean, I think that he retired just because he, like, felt that Lincoln Riley could, you know, handle the job and just become a little bit better than he was. But I just don't see it, you know? Like, I mean, you've seen pictures of him, like, he just seems to be enjoying life. And, like, I don't know. It just seems like he's, like, moved away from coaching now. And he wants to be more towards his family. I could maybe for Ohio State I could see it, but I think that they'd rather like try and go after somebody else.
I mean, when he left Oklahoma, you know, that's what he said. I'm done. I want to spend time with my family. But the thing is, that's what everyone always says. And he was just so young. I was like, there's no way this guy is done. But now, the more time that goes by now, the more I'm starting to think, well, maybe he was the exception to the rule. I mean, maybe he was serious, and when he said he was done, you know, that's it. He was done. I don't know. He would answer the phone, I think, if Ohio State called.
No, he definitely would. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if he did. I mean, I think that he could like definitely lead them in the right direction. I don't think he'll be as good as Urban Meyer though.
Yeah, and I think it's different too because he's been gone a couple of years, and Oklahoma has remained good. So I think it would make it a little bit easier to swallow. It wouldn't be like the Urban Meyer situation where he made up a fake medical condition, said I gotta retire, and then a year later took his dream job at Ohio State. You know, Florida fans still mad about that, and I really don't blame them. This wouldn't really be a situation like that, I don't think. Enough time has gone by, and Oklahoma seems to be in pretty good hands with Lincoln Riley. But hey, you know R.J. Young, right? So you're subscribed to him, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I just making sure, since you're an Oklahoma fan, that you knew about that channel, because like he's a big Oklahoma fan. About 95% of what he does is Oklahoma. So I'm just making sure you knew about him. If not, I was going to tell you to check him out.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to add like one last thing.
Okay.
Well, basically, I know that our defense has been bad, and don't get me wrong. I really wanted to fire Mike Stoops, and everybody at Oklahoma wanted to fire Mike Stoops. I know, like, it's like a meme now that like every Oklahoma fan doesn't like Mike Stoops, but now we've got a lot of talent on the defense, and we're trying to shift to a nickel now because we got this 5-star recruit last recruiting class, Bucky Riley-Hiles.
Yeah.
And we really just want to like try and get him on the field a lot of the time, and I hope our defense is at least top 40, because if we had a good defense last year, we could have won a national title, you know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, you had the best offense of any team in the playoffs. That much about that, there is no doubt. But yeah, your defense definitely let you down for sure. So. All right. I appreciate the call, man, and good luck to your Sooners. And I'll get an Oklahoma video out. It probably won't. Today's already Thursday. It probably won't be this week. But I will try to get an Oklahoma preview video out, because it is on my Patreon list to do. So I will try to get that out before the end of next week. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great, though.
Yeah. This is me. It's Comic Dude 45. So I guess I'd like to start with this. Ready?
I'm ready.
Shake our condition. Oh, thanks for your boy, Urban Meyer. Oh, this is a big one. He's the first gangster of college football. How did you?
That was pretty good. You did pretty good, sir. Yeah, he is a junk merchant, the Fred Sanford of college football. He is never more than one piece of bad news away from a heart attack.
Yep. Well, he'll probably have a real one. Who knows?
It's a possibility. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for him. That's for sure.
Yeah. Who's going to replace Urban Meyer?
Right.
I've heard a lot of stories like Lane Kiffin and Urban Meyer should swap jobs. So that's a possibility.
Urban Meyer to FAU? I don't see that happening. And to be honest, I don't see Lane Kiffin to Ohio State. The last 2 head coaches Ohio State have left in dishonor. I mean, Tressel with the tattoo thing, now Urban Meyer with the domestic abuse thing. I don't think Ohio State could afford to roll the dice with a loose cannon like Lane Kiffin. I think they have to go for a choir boy.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fair. But as for this season, so far it's Ryan Day. But here's my opinion. I think Urban Meyer is going to miss no more than the first 3 games. Because that's usually the typical procedure. Like when a coach just is accused of misconduct, he's usually suspended for like 3 games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe. My thing is this. I don't understand why. I don't understand the benefit of putting him on paid administrative leave if the decision hasn't already been made to fire him. I don't understand that. Let him keep his job. Let him field all these questions. Let him take on all this responsibility. I don't understand putting him on paid administrative leave just to bring him back 3 weeks into September. I don't understand why you do that.
I don't know either, but like when I hear paid administrative leave, he's getting the axe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, to me, it sounds like they're just working out the details of his release. Whatever that might look like, a buyout or however that's going to work. I don't know. I don't know. I heard his wife has already been fired. I guess she was a teacher at Ohio State. She's gone. That's what I heard
she was
today.
like a nurse or something like that.
Yeah, I heard she was fired. So I mean, I don't know.
Really? That I did not know.
Yep, that's what I heard. Or quit or something. I heard she's no longer employed by the university. So I mean, is that true? I don't know, but that I've heard that in more than one place today.
All right. Well, my next question would be, what do you think what's going to happen to Ohio State? Are they going to suffer a 2011 South season, like they go 6-6?
No, too talented to go 6-6. Now that division is hard, so you may see them lose to all 3 of those big-time teams. Whereas with Urban Meyer, I think I had them going 11-1. Maybe now they go 9-3, but they're an extremely talented team. And it's not like they're going to hire a new coach for this season to change things around. They're just going to let the assistants run the show. So it would be hard for me to imagine that the wheels would just completely fall off this year.
Well, it's not just about talent. It's also about coaching. I know it'll be similar schemes-wise. Like they'll know what plays to call, but there's also I'm pretty sure there's a touch to it. Like what play do you call at what specific time? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but do you really think that's going to cause Ohio State to lose to Indiana?
No, probably no.
Me either.
No.
Me either.
I'm saying it might cost them a bigger game, like TCU or Penn State.
TCU maybe, only because that's real early in the season, and there could still be a lot of questions swirling around at that point, so you could still have the team distracted at that point. So maybe it affects the TCU game. And then, of course, all the other elite teams. So Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State. I could see them losing all 3 of those games without Urban Meyer. Maybe you want to add the TCU game to that, and I could see them maybe then at 8-4. How about that? That's about as low as I'm willing to go, I think, is 8-4, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to lose. I'll give you a good example here. The talent on Ohio State without Urban Meyer would still beat the brakes off of a talentless Nebraska with Scott Frost. So, does coaching matter? Yeah, but talent matters way more. Nick Saban, when Nick Saban first got to Alabama and didn't have a team full of 5-stars, he was busy losing to teams like Louisiana Monroe and Utah. That doesn't mean Nick Saban wasn't a good coach. It means he didn't have the talent that he needed to win. Now all of a sudden he's got a roster full of 5-stars and he wins. He's winning. So, talent, especially in college football, talent is going to win 9 times out of 10, regardless of who the coach is, in my opinion.
That's fair, but I still can't help but think that the other Big Ten schools be foaming at the mouth at their best chance to potentially steal a win. I just can't help but
Oh,
think
no doubt.
that.
I agree completely. I mean, Ohio State already gets every team's best punch every year. That's going to be amplified this year, I'm sure. And listen, maybe if I'm wrong and the wheels do come off, believe me, I'm not going to be upset. I will be right out here every Sunday morning on video laughing at them for 6 minutes if they lose to an Indiana or a Minnesota or a Purdue or whatever. I will sit right here with the camera on and laugh for 6 minutes straight while that eulogy song plays. I'll do it every Sunday morning.
I'm signing up for notifications on that.
Yeah.
Sign me up, baby.
Yeah, don't miss that. Don't miss that. It'll be great. Anyway, anything else?
No, I think that's about it, but I do want to give a couple shout-outs.
All right.
Shout out to Sooner Ace and Small Nappy. As soon as the show's over, I'm subscribing.
All right, Sooner Ace and Small Nappy. Good idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, okay. I think, I'm going to go. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate the call. Resident Rutgers fan, if I remember right. Comic Dude is his name in the comment section. Rutgers fan. All right, that's it for the phone calls. Let me say one other thing here. So I've seen some people on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, in their backyard sending smoke signals saying Urban Meyer will end up at Notre Dame. Listen to me. Listen to Uncle Lou. Notre Dame hired a coach. Now, this was a while ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whenever it was. Notre Dame hired a coach on like a Monday, right? On Tuesday, they found out that he lied on his resume. On Wednesday, they fired him. So they fired a coach who hadn't even coached a game yet because they found out he lied on his resume. Notre Dame is not hiring a guy, okay, who was running a football team in Florida for the criminally insane, half of which were active gang members, and then goes to Ohio State and lets a coach stay with him for 9 years, 2009 till now, 9 years. Lets a guy follow him around, an assistant coach of him who's beating the hell out of his wife every couple of months, and then lies about that. Notre Dame is not hiring that. Forget about that. Okay, Notre Dame fan, I'm sorry. Listen, you're stuck with Brian Kelly. Okay, now all of a sudden listen, Urban Meyer might be out of a job, and all of a sudden Notre Dame fans are saying the same things about Brian Kelly that people like me have been saying about Brian Kelly for 4 years. The guy don't know what he's doing. He don't know what he's doing. Now you're saying it because you think you might get Urban Meyer. You're not getting Urban Meyer. You're not getting Urban Meyer. Okay? The Pope himself could come to South Bend. It wouldn't make a difference. You're not getting Urban Meyer. Notre Dame is not hiring Urban Meyer. I don't think anybody's hiring Urban Meyer. He might be untouchable now after this. But least of all, Notre Dame ain't hiring Urban Meyer. Y'all fired a guy for lying on his resume about what type of degree he had or whatever, or where he coached as a grad assistant in 1982 or something. You fired him for lying on his resume. Notre Dame's not hiring Urban Meyer. You're stuck with Brian Kelly. You're stuck with Brian Kelly. Listen, Golden Domers, huh? When y'all drag that half a carcass y'all call a football team down to Athens, Georgia next year, 2019, for round 2 against the superior Georgia Bulldogs, guess who's going to be roaming up and down that sideline and yelling at the media in the post-game press conference? Guess who? Huh? Brian Kelly! That's who! Touchdown Jesus is a backslider. If y'all get any worse, Touchdown Jesus is going to convert to Islam. That's just the reality of the situation. Urban Meyer to Notre Dame, Lou. God dang, man. Put the peace pipe down.